Hi, you're with Chandeep at Goodly once again, and in this video, I'm going to talk about that how do you clean your Power BI models. When I talk about cleaning, I'm trying to remove all the junk that is not used anywhere in my calculations nor in my visuals. Now, oftentimes, once you're creating a Power BI model, what is going to happen is that for testing out a few calculations or in the moment creating junk measures is going to create a lot of pollution in the model, that things that we're never going to use it in the future. In this video, I'll talk about that how do you identify such columns, measures, and calculations, quickly identify them, that's one part, and then delete them real fast. No further ado, prepare to be blown away, let's start. Alright, I'm in a local instance of Power BI file that I've opened up, which is where I've loaded a few tables, created a few calculations, and made a very simple visual right here, which is where I have year, month, total sales, and the monthly growth. And apart from the actual visual displayed on the screen, I definitely have a few unused columns and a few measures that I have created which I am not using it anywhere. Let's just see that if I'm able to get to find all the unused columns and calculations which are just lying around that I can happily delete in my model. So to be able to do this, I'm going to use a Power BI cleaner tool that is created by Imke at her blog at BI Accountant. If you haven't really taken a look at Imke's blog, you're actually missing out on a lot of gold content on Power BI and especially Power Query. It's absolutely gold. You should definitely take a look at that. So I'm going to be demonstrating the Power BI cleaner tool that she has created, and it's absolutely fantastic. All right, to be able to make that tool work, I have this model, which is where I just told you that I have a few calculations and columns lying just vacant and they're not being used anywhere. Let's just see if the tool can help us identify which are those columns and the calculations that we can just happily delete and the model will just stay fine. All right, I'm in a folder here and the folder contains the test model, which I just showed you, which is where I had a few tables loaded, a few junk calculations and columns already created. That's the model, which is called the test model, which I actually want to clean. Apart from that, I have a Power BI cleaner file, which is where this is actually a template file that I have downloaded from Imke's site, and this is the actual tool which I'm going to use to clean my Power BI model. Now, this is not your conventional Power BI file. It's not really the PBIX format. It's the PBIT format. That means it's a template. When you open this particular template, it's actually going to ask you two inputs. Input number one is going to be what is the local port number on which your analysis services is running. We'll take a look at that through DAX Studio. It's very easy. I'll explain that to you. The second input is going to be, hey, which file do you want to clean? Can you please provide me the path of that file? It's really simple. So let's just go grab the path of the test model that we are trying to clean. So I'm just going to right click on this model. I'm going to create a quick shortcut. It just makes it easier for me to copy the path. That's why I'm creating that particular shortcut. So I'm just going to click on create shortcut, and a shortcut to that particular file is created. Now I can just go to the properties of the shortcut and just copy the path as it is to supply in the template file. Right click. I'm going to go over to the properties, and right here start in is where the path of this particular, not here, sorry, the target is actually the path that I have to copy. I'm just going to actually copy this entire path. You can see the path actually ends in the test model.pbix. That's what I need. Control A, Control C. And now let's just open the PBI cleaner, which is the model to help us clean the Power BI file. Alright, the tool has opened up and you can see that PBIT or the template file actually gives me two inputs. Like I spoke about, the first input here is the port number, which I can get it from DAX Studio, and I'll talk about what that port number is. And the second input is the report file. That means which Power BI file do you want to clean? What is the path of that particular Power BI file? I'm just going to press Ctrl V on the path that I just copied it from my shortcut and just paste it right here. Make sure that the path that you copy and paste should have the inverted commas surrounded around that, and that is actually going to help this work just fine. Next is the port number. Let's just go over to the Power BI file that I'm trying to clean and then open up DAX Studio on top of that and go find what is the port number on which the local instance of analysis service is running. Alright, I've opened up the test model once again, and you can see that that's the model that I showed you just a while ago, and that's the model that I'm trying to clean, just trying to figure out which columns to delete and which columns to keep and which calculations to delete. On top of this particular model, I have opened up DAX Studio and I've connected this particular model to DAX Studio. If you don't know how to connect it, you can just click on connect. It says, hey, which Power BI file are you trying to connect? I just say that I'm just trying to connect the test model, which is right here. That is also the path that I copy pasted in my template file. And I'm just going to click right here, click on connect, and this gets connected. And you can see that all the tables that are there inside of the DAX Studio are the same tables which have been loaded inside of my Power BI model. All right, cool. Now I don't really need to do any work inside of this particular DAX Studio instance. All that I need is the port number. Where do you find that? At the bottom right here, you have the port number. Take a look at the port number. It's 61100. That's the port that I need on which the local instance of analysis service is running if I want to get any data from the Power BI file. So I'm just going to take that port number and put that inside of my template. All right, I'm just going to write 61100 and let's just click on load and let's just see what do we get. All right, the first thing that it kind of shows you as an input is that you definitely have to click on ignore privacy levels. That's what MK says on our blog. And if you just click on ignore, click on save, this actually helps to kind of bounce around the privacy levels and just quickly get to work. And you can see that that's all it says. It might just also give you another option of credentials and you can just go ahead with use my credentials. That's all about it. Now, what has happened is that connecting to the Power BI file that I provided as my input and the port number, this has actually generated all the information about my Power BI model as to what columns and calculations are being put to use and what columns are just empty. All right, let's just take a look at this particular report. It says that you have the name of all the tables right here. You have the name of all the columns inside of the table and all the measures that are residing in off that table as well. Now let's just go take a look at which columns I just can't afford to delete. So if I just maybe click on keep, it says that these are all the expressions in the columns that you can't just afford to delete, which are being actually used inside of any visual or any place. You can see that total sales and monthly growth were two calculations, which is where I were showing them inside of my pivot table. And if I just maybe click on delete, now it's actually going to show me all the columns and the measures which are not being used anywhere, not even in a DAX calculation, not even on the visual. And you can see that I have a lot of columns that I can choose to delete if I don't really need them. I can also take a look at the size of the column and make a decision that if this column is too costly and causing me a lot of memory consumption, I may choose to delete that column as well. But take a look, we have a few calculations which we can certainly delete. If I just go over to the measures, count of customers is one such measure that we are not really using. Count of products is one such measure, and a couple of bunch of measures right here. Let's just go delete these two calculations, count of products and count of customers from two different tables. And let's just see that if we have a bunch of these, how can we delete them quickly? Now that we've been able to identify which columns and which measures to delete, can we just find a way to quickly delete all of them in just one go? All right, I'm back at my model, which I was trying to clean. It was called the test model. And on top of this model, I've opened up the instance of Tabular Editor. And you can see that it's right here. It's open right here. And in this particular instance of Tabular Editor, I'm going to write a quick script to be able to select all the measures real fast and then delete them all at one go. So what do I do once the T is open? You can actually click on the C# script right here and just write a very simple one-line script. What that script says is that selected measures.measures dot delete and then start the bracket, close the bracket, and end that with a semicolon. Once you say that, and all that I'm going to do is select all the measures that I saw it in the template which were being unused and click on run the script, and they are just gone, poof, off the model. So I'm just going to go over to my sales table, and one measure that I know from the sales table was definitely sales total units that was being unused. I go over to my products table, I hit the control key and count of products, and the other measure was count of customers. Now you can see that I've selected three measures and I've also written my script right here. I'm just going to click on the play of the script and these measures are just going to be gone off my model. Click on play and these measures are just gone. Just takes a while. All right, the measures are gone. Let's just go test out these measures, that do these measures still appear in our Power BI model or not. So if I just go back to the model and maybe take a look at our sales table right here, you can see that we do sales total units as of now. We also see the count of products. This is because we have not saved the changes of Tabular Editor to our Power BI file. So let me just go over to Tabular Editor and let's just click on save the changes through to the Power BI file, and you can see that the measures certainly reduce and we don't see the count of products, nor do we see the count of customers, nor do we see any other calculations being used right here. All right, so that was a quick journey through the tool that Imke has created. If you've not really taken a look at her blog, once again, I suggest that you take a look at her blog. It's absolutely filled with great resources on Power BI and Power Query. That's where I use that particular tool to clean my Power BI file, real fast, identify the columns or measures that I want to delete, and quickly use a very simple C# script to be able to delete that using Tabular Editor. Alright, one quick thing before I end this particular video is that the connection that we made to the Power BI template, which was the Power BI Cleaner tool, is a live connection. That means we have just deleted 3 of the measures that we did not need. And if I just maybe create one more measure that I just am going to declare that as a junk measure, which I'm never going to use it again, all the 3 measures deleted and the new measure that we have created as a junk measure are going to show up as soon as I hit a refresh on my template file. So take a look. If I just go over to my sales table right here, make a new measure and call this as junk measure, and call this as a value of 1, and no value, just like value of 1, and I am just going to write that, and I don't even have to save the Power BI file. If I just go over to the template, and right here, if I just click on the refresh of this particular template, which is connected to the folder path and the local port number, if I just come here and press refresh, it will just take a while and it will give you all the new junk calculations which are still pending. So you can see that we now have the junk measure that I just created in my Power BI file, and we also have a couple of other things that we have not really deleted as of yet. Pretty brilliant tool. I'm very impressed with this. This is the 2nd generation tool that MK has created. I have used the first one, but the second one is a whole lot better. That's all about it. Alright, that was all about the Power BI Cleaner tool. I'm going to leave a link to MK's blog post that describes the way to use the tool, and also the link to download this particular tool from MK's blog. I'm also going to leave a link to MK's Twitter handle in case you would like to give her a shout out for giving this tool absolutely free of charge, no cost at all. Alright, that was all about it. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them down in the comments. Let me know how did you find this one. And in the end, a quick shout out about my DAX and my Power Query courses. In case you're starting out with Power BI and you need help building fundamentals of Power Query or DAX first, and then proceed on to solving more challenging, more sophisticated problems of your own data, I'd highly recommend that you take a look at my courses. It's going to be highly beneficial. Thanks so much for watching this, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Cheers. Bye.